In the Israel-Hamas war, the numbers are becoming more grim almost with each passing day. The best estimates are nearly 13,000 people have been killed, among them more than 100 United Nations workers, and that is the highest total in that organization's 78-year history. Joining us this afternoon, J.J. Green, the national security correspondent for our news partner, WTOP. J.J., it's always nice to see you. There have been a number of things that have happened here, not the least of which is just the carnage across Gaza. But maybe going a little bit under the radar, or the reporting anyway, is the number of U.S. forces that are starting to at least come under fire and as targets. And of course, we lost those 5 senior enlisted folks on that helicopter crash in the region. So we can't say this is somebody else's fight. It's rapidly becoming one of ours as well.
That's right, Dave. No one has said this is an official war. This is an official U.S. conflict. But I can tell you for sure from history and just from experience, anytime you lose any U.S. forces in a conflict, it then becomes a U.S. problem. And losing 5 senior special operations forces, that's a huge deal. And this particular situation took place because of a refueling problem off the southern coast of Cyprus between Friday and Saturday. And I can tell you, considering what they were there for, and that is to, just in case, be prepared to evacuate American citizens, their expertise, their presence, their personalities, all of that's going to be missed. And this is not something that's going to be forgotten very quickly by the U.S. military or the world, frankly, when you look at why they're there.
Big picture right now, though, the situation in Gaza, and particularly in Gaza City, which is just a hellscape, frankly. When you look, there was some video released earlier from some of the Israeli tankers that are moving through the area. It's hard to describe the devastation from the shelling there. It's a humanitarian crisis in a lot of ways. Those hospitals have become sort of the center points first because that's where a lot of the refugees go. But it's also where, apparently, Hamas has all the tunnels beneath it and very well where their command and control operations are. It's impossible to sort of know where this goes next, but what do you think right now? Where are we in this thing? Is this the end of the beginning, or maybe the beginning of the end, do you think?
Frankly, Dave, I don't think it's either one of those. I think we're at a point in this conflict where it's about to explode, and it's going to be a really long time before this is over. Yeah. This is just based on the conversations that I've had with intelligence, military, and diplomats involved in this or looking at it. And here's why. When you look at the fact that the United Nations held a moment of silence today for 101 UN staffers that were killed in this conflict, look at the fact that we're hearing that something on the order of 11,000 people in Gaza have been killed. Let's not forget what started all of this. 1,200 Israelis massacred. And there are people on all of these sides that have a stake in this. They're the Israelis. They're the Palestinians. There's the international community. There's the fact that U.S. forces and other forces are there in the region to try to stop this from expanding. This is nowhere near concluding. And the serious concern here for me is that the anger that's building because of what's taking place inside Gaza, it doesn't bode well for Israel or anybody, frankly.
And we're starting to see manifestations of that anger here in this country. On college campuses seem to be right now sort of the focus of a lot of that. But it wouldn't surprise either of us, I suspect. There's a big demonstration tomorrow. There are reports that the mayor may be looking for help in crowd control and potential security. All of these things. It's tinder, and the tinder can at any point flash into flames, and I think that's the real concern in this country.
That's right, Dave, and the real problem here with what's happening tomorrow is not necessarily the people that are going to be on the streets, the people that are going to be there to try to protect them and to protect everyone else. The real tinder here is social media.
Yes.
That fans the flames of everything these days. And when you look at the information warfare that's going on related to this conflict, it's spiraled far away from the origin of this conflict. It's gotten into so many other different things, and people simply have trouble organizing all of that, keeping it straight, and things are happening so quickly. So when you have that fueling everything, especially something like what's going to take place tomorrow, anything could happen. Authorities are ready. I think they're planning for the worst, hoping for the best. That's always the case. But tomorrow we really have to keep an eye on things.
I think you're absolutely right about that. And it's the information and the disinformation all together that people have a very difficult day. They look the same very often. It's hard to figure out what's true, what's not true, and frankly, who's behind all this. If we are on the precipice of a much wider situation, what's the likely outcome? Is there any way to forecast that? Because it does seem like this is it's going to take a while before there's any maybe any decisive fight here. Are we in Vietnam, sort of a war of attrition again?
Well, no, I don't think so. It's a different kind of thing, but I can say we've been here before, though. We have been here before. And that was just after 9/11, when, there were so many different things that took place after 9/11 that were in response to 9/11 that triggered 20 years of war. We shouldn't forget that. And just because this wasn't our 9/11 doesn't mean there won't be another generational war taking place in the Middle East. But when I say we've been here before, we know the kinds of things that terror groups are capable of. We also know, and we learned this last week from Hamas, that they wanted this war. In fact, the New York Times reported they were hoping for a permanent state of war with Israel. And war in this day and time is so much more dangerous than it was 20 years ago. It's so much more dangerous than it was 5 years ago. And again, there's that social media tender. And I don't say these things to try to frighten people. I say these things because it's important for people to have the facts and to do with them what they will, just being in possession of information. Right now, what we're looking at is an unknown situation. And the problem is you can't really fight an enemy you can't find. And that's what the Israelis are struggling with right now. They're trying to find that enemy. But at the same time, they're tearing up and destroying a lot of territory and, unfortunately, people's lives as well. This is the thing that's angering a lot of people far beyond Israel and Gaza. And this is the thing that we're going to have to deal with down the road for a long time.
Vision and perspective are so important all the time, but especially true in these times. And that's why we asked JJ to join us from time to time. JJ Green, the national security correspondent for WTOP, and someone to whom we turn in these times. JJ, it's always nice. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dave, thank you for getting it. Thank you for knowing the questions to ask and essentially putting this out there and giving us an opportunity to engage.
You're very kind. We'll take a break. When we come back, update on the forecast around here. After a chilly morning, what's next?